Hi ladies, let's talk about hormonal changes and osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is bone loss, and this happens a lot to women in menopause. Menopause is when we haven't had our period, our cycle, for at least a year, and then we enter menopause and postmenopause. But our changes in hormones don't happen just then. They are a progression of changes that start in our late 30s. Although a lot of professionals will tell you that perimenopause or around menopause is close to 50, truly our changes start at 38 or so. They escalate as we get older. Now, this is not a bad news, it's not terrible, it's just the body telling you support yourself better because, hey, things are changing. If you understand your body, those things that are changing are not going to affect you as much, and you can be in control of your health 100%, including your bone strength. Now, there are some women that are predisposed to bone loss, maybe because their structure is very thin, maybe because they don't have muscles, maybe because they never trained, maybe there's a genetic component. But generally speaking, we can help bone loss by having a very healthy lifestyle. So of course, food plays a major part into this, especially as we get older. We want to understand what our hormones are requiring of us. Things like fasting are amazing, of course, for resetting our gut, our microbiome, for resetting the balance of our hormones, for giving estrogen a chance to have low glucose in the blood and really function much better, and then supporting progesterone with raising glucose by having nature's carbs such as sweet potatoes and quinoa and normal potatoes, even everything that is more starchy, root vegetables. We want to understand these things so that we can support the hormones that are playing a major part into our body. When we get into menopause and perimenopause and postmenopause, our levels are very, very low in comparison to when we are cycling, when we are menstruating, when we are in childbearing years. This is a very natural process. Now, we go into these stages a lot earlier than we really should, but that's because our life is very demanding and we are exposed to a lot of toxins, a lot of difficult emotional places, situations. Society is very stressful as it is. Blue light, EMF, I mean, you name it, right? So we have to understand how to offset a lot of these things that are coming at us every single day. So even cleansing our body from heavy metals, super important because those stop the pathways of our hormonal balance. When we get into our 30s, if you have never lifted weights before, please start then. Of course, it's never too late to start. You want to start whenever you hear this message and you're like, okay, I want to prevent bone loss, I'm going to lift. And even if you are into your 50s and 60s and you're like, I want to stay healthy, pick up those weights. Now, of course, you have to start at the pace that works for you. You have to build up. You can work with a PT that understands women's body. You can do all this and it will work out. But you also have to be incredibly aware that the earlier you start, the better, because prevention is better than cure. So when we are talking about working out, resistance work is key. So make sure that you get at least 3 times a week some weights. Even if you do body weights with a more active yoga practice, do that too. Yin yoga unfortunately does not count, or yoga nidra doesn't count because we're not actually putting any pressure in our body with our body weight. But flow, hatha, the flows are the best. Even HIIT yoga, Ashtanga, amazing practices for building that strength and preventing bone loss. Nutrients are key of importance here: manganese, magnesium, calcium, and calcium is not the most important, by the way, as much as we've been told so. And of course, we want to keep estrogen at a good level, especially estradiol. So how do we do that? Well, having good protein in our body, so amino acids always help repair and fix, and not just muscle mass, but everything into our body. Then we want to make sure that we have a healthy gut, because whatever we eat, we have to ingest. We are what we eat, but even more, we are what we absorb, because if we're not absorbing our nutrients, it's a problem, right? So you're gonna have the best diet, but if you're not absorbing these key nutrients, they're gonna still be missing in your body. And the gut bacteria plays a huge, immense, amazing part in this. So do not forget about your gut. Then, of course, understanding stress levels and how to manage those, because even stress can prevent you from absorbing your nutrients. Again, very connected to the gut. Hormone levels wise, of course, you want to have food that are very helpful for your hormonal level. So you can have some phytoestrogens in your diet, things like soy, extremely important and healthy. And don't worry, they don't cause breast cancer. We're still in October, we're still talking about breast cancer. It doesn't. What it does is actually prevent and help you. But there is something that works in conjunction with a lot of cancers and estrogen, which is insulin receptors. So sugar is important when we talk about things like cancer and the functions of our immune system. So we have to learn more about that, but this is not the class for it. Then we have to think about, okay, how do we prevent our levels from going down? Check your levels. So sometimes our body will be able, well, normally our body should be able to move the production of these key hormones from the reproductive system into our adrenals, and I talked about this before. But sometimes because of lifestyle and stress, that doesn't happen, or it doesn't happen enough. So you know what? HRT could be an option for you. And HRT that is bioidentical is now available, and I think that really makes a massive difference, especially progesterone. Estradiol, really, really important as well, and we want to make sure that that is in your body so that you don't lose this muscle and bone structure. Now, detoxifying the body is equally important, because if you're not detoxing the hormones leftovers, then they stay in your body and they accumulate into fat. More fat is what produces more estrogen. The body's trying to balance out. Unfortunately, however, when there's too much of it, that's a problem. And this is why even cancer, when it's about being sensitive to estrogen, it's really about where the estrogen comes from, and it's not the good estrogen, it's not your estradiol, it's the leftover, the stuff you should be detoxing. So a liver cleanse is super important. Do you have to do a full cleanse of, like fasting? Fasting is really helpful, but you don't have to even go there. You can just add foods that are really supportive for your liver, such as bitter greens like dandelion or cabbage or kale. Anything that is bitter in taste, go for that. It really helps. Things like nettle, very, very, very helpful as well. So you can balance out with lots of foods, herbs, and truly have a great time looking after your liver. I love doing castor oil packs. I was remembering the name in Portuguese being here and buying it here. But castor oil packs are really, really cool. You can buy them online. You just have to soak a fennel into the oil and place it on your liver and sleep with it, and it helps remove some toxins. So it's really cool how much stuff in nature there is. Now the science about that is not super strong, but let's go with the fact that this is a remedy that has been done for many years, and in any case it won't hurt you. So, and it can hydrate your skin. You know what? Win-win. We can go with that. But you can take those little measures. So I stop alcohol. Please stop alcohol. I know people really like that glass of wine, really enjoy that beer socially. But as women, we have to understand our hormones don't like our social behavior a lot of the times. Especially when you have two sisters, progesterone and estrogen, who have very different characters and are asking you very different things. Sleep is super important. You're like, sleep and bone loss? What are you talking about? Again, it's about balancing those hormones. So yes, that matters. You can see a pattern here. As I said at the beginning, no silver bullet, but little things that you can do every day to support bone loss from happening. But if there is one key element that I can say start today with, even if you don't want to touch anything else because you don't have the mindset for it, exercise. Pick up those 5 kilos. They don't even have to be that heavy to begin with. 5 kilos and work out. The more you build muscle, the more you support your bones. And we want that to be the case. I want you to be walking up straight. I want you to be able to get out of your bathtub when you are in your 80s and 90s. I want you to be able to do yoga. I want you to be able to enjoy your family time, your grandchildren. This is something that a lot of women complain about. As they get older and they deteriorate, they're stuck in a bed. And you know how many women are going to facilities where they are looked after, but because everything escalates and their health generally deteriorates, they are put in a position where they can't even freely move their body, and that creates so much frustration. I also want to just drop this in there. Us women are also prone to having a cognitive decline such as Alzheimer's because of our hormonal shifts. So if you can support your hormones and do it early, it's also protective for our brain. And I don't know about you, but for me, looking after my brain, my memory, my sharpness, my ability to retain information and understand is so important. That is the thing that frightens me most when it comes to aging, and I really don't want that to happen to me. Especially because when I was going through my health issues, I actually had such a foggy brain, I couldn't remember or retain any information, and I felt awful. That added a lot to my frustration about everything with life, with people, and I wasn't feeling understood. And I know that women and men that go through Alzheimer's and cognitive decline and dementia feel the same. They feel frustrated because you can't convey what you're trying to say, you can't retain information, you can't remember the simplest name, and that is the most frustrating thing. So ladies, let's look after our precious bodies, because I really know that we can go towards our hundreds feeling amazing, and that is the biggest gift you can give yourself from today. Talk to you soon.